In a grand European estate, a man of immense wealth lived a life of luxury. He had everything money could buy, servants at his beck and call, a sprawling mansion filled with treasures, and the admiration of all who knew him. But within those opulent walls, one person was treated as less than a stranger, his own son. While guests were draped in the finest silks and velvets, the boy wore clothes that were tattered and old. While lavish feasts were served on golden plates to friends and business partners, the boy ate leftovers, often cold and alone. The house was a palace of material wealth, but for the son, it was a desert, barren of love and affection. The father's words were sharper than any blade. Whenever the boy dared to speak, to share a dream or an idea, he was met with a cold, dismissive glare. "You are useless," the man would say, his voice echoing in the vast, empty halls. "You will never amount to anything." These words were the boy's only inheritance, chipping away at his spirit day by day. He grew up surrounded by gold, but starved of warmth, a poor little rich boy in a mansion that felt more like a prison. Then, as if in a cruel twist of fate, the tides turned. The rich man's empire, built on shrewd deals and a ruthless nature, began to crumble. A series of bad investments, one after another, led to a catastrophic collapse. His business vanished, his fortune evaporated, and his so-called friends disappeared like ghosts at dawn. The grand house, once a symbol of his power, was seized by creditors. The man who once commanded respect now found himself on the streets, a beggar. The world he had so confidently controlled had turned its back on him. He who had sat at tables laden with delicacies now slept with the gnawing pain of an empty stomach. People he once looked down upon now walked past him without a second glance, their faces a mixture of pity and indifference. He was invisible, a forgotten relic of a bygone era. Years passed, turning the man's hair to silver and etching deep lines of regret onto his face. One cold afternoon, as he sat hunched over on a dirty sidewalk, a pair of polished shoes stopped in front of him. A shadow fell over him, and he looked up just enough to see the figure of a well-dressed man. Assuming it was just another passerby, he held out a trembling hand, his voice raspy from disuse. "Please, sir, anything you can spare." He didn't dare to look the stranger in the eye, ashamed of what he had become. A moment of silence passed, heavy with unspoken history. Then a voice, soft yet firm, cut through the noise of the city. "Father, it's me." The old man's head shot up. His eyes, cloudy with age and despair, struggled to focus. Before him stood a man in his prime, confident, successful, and radiating a gentle strength. It was his son, the boy he had called useless, the child he had starved of love, had become everything he said he never would be. He was rich, respected, and, most importantly, kind. A wave of shame washed over the father. He collapsed into a heap of sobs, expecting the bitterness he had sown to be returned to him in full. He braced himself for words of revenge, for the "I told you so" that he so richly deserved. He had given his son nothing but cruelty. Surely his son would now give him the same. But the son did something entirely unexpected. He knelt, lifted his father from the cold ground, and wrapped a warm coat around his frail shoulders. He didn't speak of the past. He didn't lecture or condemn. Instead, he took him to a warm place, fed him a hot meal, and found him a clean bed to sleep in. He took care of him, not because his father had earned it, but because the son had chosen a different path. He chose kindness over bitterness, forgiveness over revenge. In that moment, receiving a love he had never given, the old man learned the most profound lesson of his life, a lesson that came far too late. He realized that you can build an empire of gold and lose it all in a single night. You can gain the world's respect and have it vanish like smoke. But the way you treat people, the love you give or withhold, that is the one currency that follows you forever. It becomes your truest legacy. Thank you for watching. Remember to treat everyone with kindness. It costs nothing, but its value is immeasurable. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that makes you think. See you next time.